Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful people. How you doing? It's a beautiful Sunday afternoon here from the city of Belfast. I'm the Major Shodake. I'm here again for us to have an intellectual conversation. 1 second, please. To have an intellectual fellowship so we can learn, dialogue, intimate ourselves with things that are affecting our daily life, the policies that we live under, our realities and predicates. It's another Sunday afternoon, another time for us to dialogue, to converse. But before we do that, like I always do, I always come ahead few minutes to address some trending things. One of my guests is already online, and I'm trying to send requests to the other ones so we can have this show started already. Today's topic: behavioral economics in transforming Africa. A lot of people want to know what is behavioral economics. People will be questioning, is it not supposed to be economics? What does the major means by behavioral economics? Some would have even browsed about it and find some interesting facts. Some would have been well grounded in this, that we will need their contribution because no one is an island. Some we will learn from them. Some they will learn from us. Some we will listen to ourselves. That is the purpose of intellectualism in this 21st century. No one is an island. No one knows it all. Anyone who acts like he or she knows it all knows nothing at all. Let's get this class started. But there's something I would like to make comment on top before we get started. You could see the large protests going across the length and breadth of United States, as opposed to Donald Trump's tariffs. It's an economic tussle. It's a fight for global domination. It's an harsh reality staring at our face. It's global politics drifting towards economic tussles. And that's why behavioral economics is so important at this point for us to converse. In this, you have what is called the loss of aversion, which you can notice from Trump's which largely influenced Trump's tariffs. We see things like framing effects. You see things like social influences. You see things like status quo bias. And you see the long-term and short-term thinking. The long-term and short-term thinking in all these things that is going on. Behavioral economics challenges the classical notion of rational actor that suggests that human decision making is influenced by cognitive biases emotions and social factors. To understand behavioral economics, we have to place it side by side traditional economics. So traditional economics relies heavily on the assumption that individuals consistently make choices that maximize their utility. Behavioral economics, on the other hand, recognizes that real-world decisions are often illogical and influenced by a variety of external factors, policies, governance. So this perspective allows, for a nuanced understanding of economic behavior, especially in diverse contexts like Africa, where we have, social cultural dynamics play a profound role in shaping individual and collective decision making. Let me give you an example so we know where I'm driving at. Let's assume that some certain sect of people right now have been convinced to make $100 more, or to lose $100. You realize that the fear of losing $100 drives more people than the fear of investing or risking to make more $100. Why? Behavioral economics. So traditional economics, the one we're taught in school, will tell you life is a 100-meter yard dash, which is a lie. That human being scale of preferences, whatnot, yeah, this is supposed to be the common sense, but in a collective of drafting policies, economic frameworks of policies, of nation, it's different. It's different. That's why external factors influences people to make. So, and even people fall category in making irrational decisions, financial irrational decisions, and heavily influenced by external factors. So what is behavioral economics? So this is where my guests will come on board. Well-grounded, brilliant set of people, intelligent and vibrant. Amazing guests people I've met across in the short journey of my life. They'll be coming on board right now. Imam, Bidemi, and Ife. The first icon you will see on your phone that looks like a video icon, kindly just click on it, then request to join this video. I wanted to make a comment on Senator Natasha Anakpabio, but I realized this conversation is a global conversation. So sometimes you've raised the bar standard high that you really don't want to be meddling with dirty. So we're gonna talk about behavioral economics. We pick it from Donald Trump's time. The economic war going on right now. Please subscribe this place. Hey, my brother. This is Abdulmumin Imam.
It's nice seeing you.
You are the poster boy for APLP.
Thank you very much.
Voice. Our champion. Our poster boy.
Thank you, my brother.
I'm so happy to see you. Very, very
I'm very happy to see you too. I was thinking we would have met in the UK last month, but unfortunately we didn't meet. But I'm very sure that we'll get to meet maybe before or by May.
I'll be so glad to host you. I'm so glad. I would love to host you. Kaltumi came here. She came from, I think she came in from which country? She was touring all the European country, and she.
I think we spoke last month. I think she saw something on about my personal life, and then she called me, so we spoke.
Hey, Mr. Ife, how you doing?
Good evening, sirs. Good evening, everyone.
Why do both of you look like money? Please
was
help,
the money here.
please help my life. Help my life. I'm so happy to see your faces. To be honest, today's topic is one that I know is really deep and global. We will try
Mm,
our best to to manage the time. But before then, we wanted to have one of our friends who is in African Union, uh,
okay.
Sandy. But
Oh, Sanzitile. Oh,
big shout out to her. Big shout out to her right now.
mm,
But I saw her post. She was with she went for a conference where President Paul Kagame was talking in Rwanda, and
in
she tried
Rwanda,
meeting
yes,
her.
you told me.
And she's been
Mm.
traveling on and on, to be honest. And I've also been tracking this our friend. You remember Juan? Juan who works for
Yes.
United Nations in Namibia.
Okay. I,
Yeah,
I I think I forgot who is that? Maybe
the short,
he's
the
from
short
which
Juan,
country?
the short Juan that works for United Nations in Namibia. He's from Namibia.
Oh yeah, I remember that
Yeah,
guy. I
yeah.
remember him in Cairo.
So
Oh,
I think
okay. He was also okay. I didn't know that that he has joined the AU. I am not
no, no,
aware.
no,
I
no,
only
no.
know
Yeah, yeah.
Sandy,
No,
Eric.
he was in AU. Then he went to United Nations. I'm not sure. I think he's still with United Nations, but we converse, and I'm also trying to bring Albert Kure, bring all these intelligent
Albert, yeah. You
Albert.
know, he's a very, very wonderful
Yeah.
person.
So thank you for saying yes.
No
Let me just
problem.
start the introduction. Mr. Bidemi, please kindly request to join this video and join us along the line of the conversation. This is, and I am very serious about it. This is the poster boy for APLP. He's a linguist. He's a diplomat. You know, when this man gave me his short, what he called short biography, just introducing himself, that he has lectured in UAE, and all, I was like, behind him in my back, I'm like, how could someone be this young and have all this? Are you sure this guy didn't just? Are you sure this guy didn't start ahead of us when age 10, when we were still running in pants? He has started getting very serious about his life. you know, Imam's portfolio is, to be honest, when he sent me his portfolio, I was just laughing because I felt like he's just being humble about it. But his portfolio is cumbersome, like really cumbersome. And
Thank you.
I am so happy. I am so happy that you are here. And one of the things I would say is this, Imam, your humility, your accessibility, and the way you you speak your truth and you stand for what you believe in. It's really really inspiring. I wouldn't lie. It's
Thank
really
you very,
inspiring. You're a
thank you very.
voice. You're a voice that can never be ignored in this generation. As a matter of fact, I am so confident. You guys are my bragging rights. I'm so confident that in the next 10 years, 15, I want to see how the leadership of Nigeria will pass under my nose without
What
any of us being active
what do you need
actors.
to come back to Nigeria as well so that we do it together?
Yeah, of course. It's in view. But
Yes.
it's not possible with Kehinde Odanye, with Imam, with like all these brilliant guys.
We have
How
many,
we
and
like
you have, and I think you have forgotten Abdullah Jafar, the one from Kaduna. He's doing very well. You know,
he's
he
been on
has
my
built an
platform.
industry in Kaduna now. I think a multi-billionaire industry.
Yeah, he's been on my platform. He came on my platform.
Okay,
He was
all
here.
right.
He was
Okay, really.
Yeah, he was here last year. He was here
Okay,
last year. Honestly,
that's
yeah,
wonderful.
that's one person to have built a multi-billionaire, and he has his companies in Niger, he has in
Yes,
Nigeria,
he
he
has
has
branches everywhere. Mm,
everywhere. Very, very, and these guys are humble, accessible, and that is one thing I am so happy at. The fact that
mm,
we met in Cairo in Egypt, and we've been able to build a culture that, to be honest, Imam, this is the reason why I do subscribe to when people start talking about nepotism, start talking
mm.
about tribe. I'm like, I have access to Khartoum. I'll be an hypocrite if I join people to say, now so I want to people they be. Now so Igbo, the first person to be on my platform was an Igbo person. I do not see
Mm.
all these things in reality. I just see it more like it's a trick, it's a game. We are falling
Yeah.
for a game that
Mm.
in our day-to-day life is not obtainable. And I'm so happy. Thank you for saying yes, for being on this platform.
No
Thank you
problem.
for
I've
being
been
here.
looking forward to being on the platform for quite a while. You know that.
Yeah, so
It's
thank you very much.
time constraints
I
and
really
all that.
appreciate it. So you're welcome officially to Street in Cathedral.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, this is my brother too. Ife, Mr. Ife. Adesoya, I met this man He was the chairman of Yali. You know, Yali was Obama's. So he was the chairman of Yali, the president of Yali Ogun State chapter, which is my state. You know, when I
Okay.
met him, my mentality about all this Yali and everything, because I always take 2 steps behind before I join things, is that I feel, yeah, many youths, it's positive to find youth in that, terrain. But sometimes I feel like youth want to join that and hold positions just for the sake of, recognition, going to some function of event, but not really putting in the work. So when I joined Yali, this man actually convinced me because I have seen someone, live what he preaches. He walks the talk, and you see him everywhere. International facilitator. Sometimes I always like this guy know the rest. You go see him for Abuja. Before you know him, you don't post for Lagos. Before you know, I don't check him for another hotel for he dey give lecture, give facilitator. See him guy, how far now? So he's someone that to me is very, very active and passionate, honestly. Well
Thank you
traveled, well
very much.
lectured,
Highly
international.
welcome,
Uh,
my brother. You are
Thank you very,
you were in
very much.
Germany the other day.
a pleasure
You
Yes,
did us proud in
meeting.
Germany,
yes,
and you're welcome.
I was educational study trip on cooperative
See,
society.
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
So
That's very
he's
wonderful.
he's actively involved in this Ogun State. You are in this agency in Ogun State. What department?
Oh, it's a business membership organization, the Chamber of Commerce.
Chamber
I've
of
been to
Ogun
Commerce.
State.
I, I've been to Ogun multiple times.
Wow,
Uh,
Okay.
wow.
in oh my God, what's the name of that local government? The one very close to Abeokuta.
Ifo.
No,
Is
no,
it
no.
for
There's another local.
Ewekoro? Ewekoro.
No, no. That local government is well known. I think it has. It has one name. Where the other one has a different. Like they have two local government with one name. Ijebu Ode.
Ijebu.
Okay.
Yes,
Ijebu.
I
Ijebu.
visited the king. What do you call the king of the
Ode.
of the seven kings?
Ojide
Awujale.
Oba. Ojide Oba.
No,
Awujale.
no, not that one.
The
There's
king of
another one.
Is Awujale. Awujale is
Awujale.
the king of Ijebu.
No, no, there's another Ijebu Remu. Remu
Ijebu
Kingdom,
Remo.
the king of Remu.
Okay.
Oh,
Remu.
Okay.
oh,
Ijebu Remo.
that's at
Okay.
Shagam.
Yes,
Shaga.
Chagam. I've been there.
Yeah. So
Yes, I've been there. Like,
you're welcome to Street and Cathedral. Street and
thank
Cathedral is an idea born, is an inspiration from God. And I feel it is something that we need right now. Streets actually, because I'm a journalist, if you know what is called street, vox pop. Vox pop is when we take camera and mic to the streets and start asking people, what do you think? It used to be people's reaction, feedback, about maybe what is going on in society. People just, contributing to the media space. So right now, the streets stand for the voice of the people. It seems as if the narrative needs to change right now because most of the times when people start talking about things that affect day to day, a common man, day to day policies that affect a common man, you see celebrities, people who go to Dubai, people who have houses all over London that just spend like 3 weeks in Nigeria, speaking on our behalf and say, "Oh, the suffering is too much." Baba, nobody they feel the heat. Let us, let us, we that we are feeling the heat. Let us talk. And I'm not just considering the left angle right now. No, I am not right that. I've brought people, of course, Imam. I'm tempted to say you're from the right angle. There's no way you can hide under that. You're from the right
mm,
angle. Amina has been here too. Amina is from the right angle. So I am just, doing what media is supposed to do. Shine camera at the both angles and have a balanced view of life, not the way the media has been tilting towards right now, where cameras are just shining at the right angle or people who seemingly look like the right angle. That is a biased media portrayal. So we are going to do that balance in Street and Cathedral. And Cathedral is just my own personal sentiment. I'm a Christian, and yeah, I'm a proud Christian. But Cathedral, there in core essence, is a spiritual alignment. And on this platform, I've had Felix. Felix is a traditionalist. He doesn't align to Christianity, so he's a Muslim. Imam is a Muslim. Ife is a Christian. I have climbed the mountain of intellectualism where I believe we are supposed to soar above all these religious sentiments, ethnic sentiment, cultural sentiment, and let us have a meaningful conversation. If Imam is brilliant, good, and is a leader, I'm ready to follow him. So I'm not supposed
mm,
to be so stupid and say, no, 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 no. I will ignore all that. Imam is brilliant. He speaks multiple languages I don't speak. It's an advantage. to the cause that we want to further. But the only thing I am not going to work with now, Imam, I'm not going to follow him, is from the north. That is me being stupid. Why am I educated? Why am I educated? This is not even being an hypocrite, right? It's just a pure foolishness. And I think right now we need to now start portraying that narrative. When people start listening to us, watch us, and actually see us practicing what we preach, representing it, they start to understand that, oh, these people, they're actually real. And this is actually the most, I keep saying, this is the realest podcast you can find. It's everywhere. Apple approved it. It's on Apple. It's on Prime Music. You search it. You don't need to stress. It's on Spotify, YouTube. Why? Because the content itself, it's something that, is giving society a balanced view, balanced argument right now. And that is what we need. Because when the right angle tells you the truth and tell you, oh, this is the way it is, the left angle also tell you. And everybody just have a balanced view and understand. Today's topic, I officially welcome you guys to my platform, and I thank you, I appreciate you. Today's topic is
Thank you.
Behavioral economics in transforming Africa. First, that word transforming Africa, I am not cajoling. I thought about youth leaders, personally, youth leaders that I believe that have been involved consciously in trying to transform Africa for good. And my personal experiences with both of you, I've seen Imam, his prowess in Egypt, trust me, flawless. And I've seen the way Imam interacts with other nationalities. In fact, Sandy that's supposed to be here, she's from Swaziland, if I'm right.
Yes,
Imam and
Swatini, some of the
Swazini,
country.
Imam and Sandy are like brothers and sisters. The bond is like there. Even Imam and a couple of people that I know that are not Nigerians. This is someone I have seen the way he relates, the way he's caring, the way he's funny. Imam is actually good amongst people, and his intellectual prowess, you can't beat it. And I know that with what he represents in APLP, this is someone who actually wants to be part of that transformation of Africa, and I appreciate it. And if I have seen the way you were, you handled being president of Yali Ogun State Network. As a matter of fact, I will be honest with you, I never thought Yali in Ogun State could actually have that level. The way you brought it to Obasanjo Library, the packaging, the dedication, the meeting. If I was still in Ogun State, you would have even convinced me to be maybe president subsequently, honestly, because you made it like, no, this is something we should take serious, and you took it to another level. You represented well and all. And having seen that, I know that we really want to be involved in transformation of Africa. And you know that you work in the industry of commerce in Ogun State. So of course, we're talking about economics here. I have to bring both of you up front. Imam has been well grounded in power politics, educational aspects, diplomat, international, represented Nigeria in numerous spaces. So we need to have this conversation because we know that Africa is not there yet. Yet, this is where everything is gotten from. Everything that powers and drives industrial revolution, the capitalist world that we have right now. Everything. Africa is self-sustaining. So we wonder, why did we get into this deep mess? So these are the things we are going to trace along the line of economics. I read the book of Amaktum National and said, what is going on now is not military might. Nations are having economic battles right now. So let me ask this question from Imam. As a diplomat, you know that behavioral insight in diplomacy. So how can insight from behavioral economics inform diplomatic strategies, particularly in negotiation involving African nations? Is it that we got into this mess making wrong negotiation or getting wrong people on the table? Or because right now we have all the resources. So in that line of diplomacy, what do you think can actually address all these issues, Imam?
Well, thank you very much for having me here. Well, when you talk about behavioral insight in diplomacy, diplomacy in general, you cannot talk about it without talking about economics. Because if I'm coming to sit on a table with you, it means I want to look at the areas that I'm going to benefit from the discussion, while you are also looking at the areas that you're going to benefit from the discussion that we're going to have. And of course, all benefits revolves around economics. So behavioral economics always helps us understand why some diplomatic strategies fail while others succeed. Now, when I'm having discussions, I always try to give examples. Now, let's look at ECOWAS, for example, which is being chaired by the Nigerian president Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and he took over the leadership in July, I think in July or thereabout in 2023. So when Tinubu came on board as the leader of the economic community of West African states, his first issue was Niger. If you remember well, there was a military coup in Niger, July 2023. And Tinubu, as the new president of Nigeria, who took over leadership just, I think, in May 29th, 2023, and then the coup happened in July 2023. So, as a newcomer into power, he tried to use some strong forces which diplomacy doesn't need. The number one step he took was to cut off electricity supply from Nigeria to Niger, which Niger depends on Nigeria. 70% of the electricity supply is from Nigeria. This is the number one step he took, which was a wrong step in diplomacy. The second step was threats of military action. He threatened Niger that if power is not being moved back to Bazoum or democratically elected leadership, is going to use military action to remove the military leaders and restore democracy. Now, the first thing we should look at is Niger is an independent and sovereign state that no one has the right to invade into that country unless the situation has gone. Okay, let me just give you few steps. Number one, before you invade a country, the United Nations Security Council has to approve. The African Union Commission has to approve. The ECOWAS Commission has to approve. But without sitting on the board, without taking it up, you just decided that you are going to take military action. So now, if you look at Nigeria and Niger, the northern Nigeria, where I come from, though I'm talking as a Nigerian, but let me because the northern part of Nigeria, we have 7 states that shares border with Niger. 7. All the northwestern states except for Kano and Kaduna.
And
Talk about Sokoto.
And do this border bring prospect of trade?
Yes, of course.
This border.
Of course. So look at Sokoto, look at Kebbi, look at Jigawa, look at Katsina, look at Borno, look at Yobe. We have 6 states. Now, you want to invite military action into a sovereign country, a country that is housing over 500,000 Nigerian refugees. So the number of Nigerians living in Niger is higher than the number of Nigerians living in Nigeria. So if at all you want to now talk about military action, the first step you should take is talk about evacuating all Nigerians who are living in Niger. Build proper refugee council. Okay, why are Nigerians living in Niger?
You made a statement, Imam. You made a statement, and I'm going to take that as of the speech, but I want you to react to this statement to me before I ask the next question. And I'll introduce Mr. Bidemi before you talk. You made a statement and you said the president new to power. Do you mean new to this kind of president? Because he's not new to power, he's been senator, he's been governor. So what do you mean by that statement when you said new to power?
You're highly welcome, sir. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. When I said new to power, as a governor of Lagos State, I knew that is the highest office he held before he became the president. He doesn't have the power to initiate any military action. He doesn't. He doesn't have the power, the full authority over Lagos State the way he has the full authority over the whole country. Of course, if he wants to initiate a military action in Nigeria, he'll be able to do that. And to a point, he's going to bring down the whole country. Yes.
Do you think this ideology is what is happening as an issue between Fubara and on some weekend as what is
Well,
going on in the state?
well, you know, the area of Fubara and Wike conflict is one that I might have different opinion,
Okay.
because you know, that area, it is not diplomacy at play, it is power at play, and
Okay.
yes, I
Okay.
can talk about it, you know,
I understand. I understand.
diplomatic.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Let's move. Let's move ahead. I'm going to ask Mr. Epewonko. Before then, let me introduce Mr. Bidemi. Eyi Olorun She. See, one thing about me is that when I bring people to this platform, it's a semi-formal. So please pardon me if I don't go through the. If you invite me on a very symposium, trust me, I'll do the justice properly. But I like to introduce you based on the way I know you and we're close. Which does not take away all your accolades. Believe me. Mr. Abidemi is a serial entrepreneur. He's he's also part of an NGO that uh, we began together. We grew together. I'm a co-founder. My other friend is the founder. Mr. Bidemi is part of the stakeholder there. It's called African Child Development Network. It was previously known as Education with Purpose. It has been, I need to say this, but I don't know if you are still in service. Are you still in service? Okay. He's an ex-military personnel of the Nigerian force. Yes, SPD call. So he's versatile, he's strong, he has the youth energy, he's disciplined, and he's grounded when it comes to diplomacy because he has gone for all these peacekeep and all. And aside from being a major actor on field battle, he's also into entrepreneurial world, economics. So he's well grounded when it comes to that perspective. You're welcome on board. You're welcome to Street and Cathedral Property.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yes.
Thank you very much, sir. It's good to join you people.
Yeah.
My fellow speakers also. Good evening,
Okay.
everyone.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to move ahead, talk about cultural nuances because there's no way we talk about behavioral economics. We don't talk about the cultural nuances involved. At first, there is a saying that when you go to the tables with the Russian, there's an attitude of diplomacy that the Russians like. Mr. Imam tried to mention it briefly at his opening stage that when you come to the table, everybody thinks about winning. So I think a good deals end with win-win. You cannot come to the table and you win and everybody lose. That's not a good deal. You have to look at both ends. But there's a culture already on play. When you deal with the Chinese, it's a different culture. When you deal with Africans, it's a different culture. When you deal with Russians, it's a different culture. When you deal with Americans, British, you can see cultural nuances. So in what ways do cultural differences impact economic negotiations between African countries and their international partners?
Thank you very much. I appreciate everyone on this platform for this wonderful opportunity to talk. If I am going to say this, I would want to look, because I have had interactions based on the Chamber of Commerce I belong to. So it has given me a network of opportunities to interact with various nationalities, because currently we even have partnership with the German Chamber of Commerce. And one thing I have noticed is that when we talk about culture, our African culture varies, very diverse. The way a Yoruba person is going to sell you something, let's start from the Nigerian aspect now, then we move from Nigeria to Africa, then we move international. The way a Yoruba person would sell something to you is different from the way an Hausa Igbo person would sell something to you. And if you look at it, you will see that there is a bit of culture, even um, in that kind of negotiation. Because when we talk about economics, we have to talk about negotiation skills also. You're going to see that when a Yoruba person is talking to you, is trying to negotiate with you, he's going to take you to a place of higher prices first. Then you yourself, you start
You have to
negotiating
break.
it downward. You understand? But when you talk to somebody from I'm going to use the major three tribes. When you talk to somebody from the outside, they go straight to the point. It's either they do this or they are not. Then when you look about the Igbo aspect of it, you will see that they are very, very unique, because what they want to do to you is they want to make sure that they use a, how would I call this, a form of a P9, trying to sit down with you, even if they don't have something, they want you to just buy from them. So they have this kind of way. Now that's one aspect. Understanding when you go into market,
No,
when you
wait,
go
wait, wait, wait,
into
wait,
a
wait,
place.
wait, 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 wait. No, wait. Give Igbos their flowers. Let me add to the Igbo.
Yes,
Because
yes,
Igbo man where they sell slippers, go sit you down, tell you saying get wedding dress. They no
exactly.
worry. One of my brother, they sell that wedding gown for make a make a buy and coke. Make I
Yes,
just go. And they have this way of entering
I
their
just
people's
remember
shop,
the word now, hospitality.
hospitality. So let me get your
Yes,
wedding dress. How much it is? 55,000. Oh, that guy na imam. Oh. I go tell him saying na 200K. So they have a way of doing their business, and everybody enters everybody's shop, and
perfectly
they work
well.
out for everybody. Yeah, continue, please.
So going on further, let's now look into living Nigeria. I was opportune during the COVID era. I was looking at what I can do to actually sustain myself and to move my businesses from one level, because it came at a point where we didn't even have anywhere to leg, because mostly I do facilitating, and it's some of the things I used to feed myself. So I and some of my friends, we decided to go to the neighboring countries to get palm oil. We decided to go into the palm oil business. And one thing I realized again is the culture. We Nigerians, I said I'm going to be taking it little by little. We as Nigerians need to be very careful of how we portray ourselves, because nobody is going to be saying this person is from this part of Nigeria. I had a very bad experience my first time of going into that market, and that showed me a lot about why we are very important to portray a good aspect of us. So we met this particular person from Pobe. Pobe is very close to Ojodo in Ogun State here. It's just a neighboring town. So we met this person after looking for various places we can get a high percentage of palm oil. So we met this person, and this person didn't want to do business with us. And we're like, what's wrong? What did we do? And the next statement he mentioned out, this is not to tarnish, but this is just to make sure that whatever we are doing, we are portraying the right image out there. So this person told me that no, he cannot sell to us. And we were like, why can't you sell to us? He said, because people, where I'm going to now is people will not look at just your culture. Whatever you do becomes a culture to them. They wouldn't just take it that, okay, this is your own norms and beliefs. Whatever you are doing. So the man told me that we can't sell to Nigerians. We said, why? He said they are fond of using his factory after getting the palm oil to adulterate the palm oil. And then we're like, no, this is very wrong. We are not here to do this. And let me tell you, after we started that business with him, if not for the changes in the currency rates, we had a very, very good and long relationship. And now let's now move it outside gradually. One thing I want us to understand was about 2 years ago, I was opportune to attend a class. And majorly we always talk about emotional quotient and all that. But the classes introduced me also to cultural intelligence.
Intelligence, yes, yes,
Now,
important.
one thing we need to understand is once we are dealing with people from, it is not even, let's forget Nigeria. Nigeria is very diverse. If we are dealing with, let us understand where are they coming from, what's their origin, what are those things they keep in line. Now, when we went for an international event in Germany, I told you I went for a study trip, and then they were so very, very focused. One of their culture is time. Germans don't joke with their time. Once they say it is 9 o'clock, if you get there past 9, believe me, you might lose the opportunity. Now, we need to understand that wherever we are coming from, we should sometimes leave our own culture and try to look into this other culture, because what we want to maintain is just a one unity body. And that's why this, I think, is after
Yeah,
African Trade Agreement is
Africa
there for
Continental
us.
Free Trade
Thank
Area,
you very
AFCTA.
sir. Thank you very much, sir. It's there for us. And I think one of those things those people should be promoting is looking at different cultures in Africa and looking at how
but
they
it's
want to impact
cumbersome.
different
It's
people.
Well,
cumbersome.
well,
Exactly.
I really like the fact that you raised the issue of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. But believe me, I don't see how the AFCTA can work.
Hmm.
The reason
Really?
why is because the main reason why the AFCTA is being created is in order to remove trade barriers. So can
Yes.
we be able to? Now, let me give you an example. I was talking earlier, I didn't. The Niger, when Nigeria was putting so much fire on Niger, Niger supplies, I think, over 70% of the world uranium.
Yes.
So
Yes.
when they realized that Nigeria is trying to take them to the disadvantage, they now decided to shift their alliance from France to Russia.
Hmm.
So they have now joined
Heard
heads
that.
with Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso. They form a new zone, a new thing called Sahel Alliance. They have left ECOWAS. So just last month, they now introduced 0.5% import levy on all ECOWAS. They just impose it. So this is now going to make things hard on Nigeria. So it means now what Tinubu failed to do earlier, the negotiation, through economic incentives so that they cannot go back
But will
to
you blame
democracy.
Tinubu? Imam, wait. Will you blame Tinubu? Tinubu might actually be acting in fear in trying to also warn the home not for the
No.
military takeover to be a
I
threat.
Yes.
understand. Yes, you may be right that Tinubu, because Niger is our immediate neighbor. We share border with Niger more than any other country. Yes, you may be right. But when you're fighting your neighbor, you have to trade with caution. You understand? That is what diplomacy teaches us. Your immediate neighbor has to be your friend. So now they have shifted their loyalty from France to Russia, and they have joined hands with two other countries, and they are now inviting countries like Togo, Guinea, which is Guinea is also under a military rule. They are not trying to
Hmm.
invite them to form alliance. So if they are now, most of them are not leaving ECOWAS, joining that is a threat to Nigeria. Can you imagine
Okay,
now Russia
Mr.
just
Biden,
neighbor, not
yeah,
having
yeah.
Russian partners, your neighbor?
I,
It is a disaster.
I really enjoy that. I'll take that as
So
your opening speech,
yes,
Mr. Efe.
so
Mr.
let me
Biden, let
0.5% levy. That undermines the Africa Continental Free Trade Area that is trying to bridge
yeah,
the
that's
gap.
true.
And
And again, Imam, how can AFTA also stand when we don't have a borderless policy or
Hmm.
a free passport movement in Africa? That's playing another trick on us.
that's also another area. Unless we are able to achieve the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, how can we now be able to say we don't use one African passport? It's nearly impossible. Just trade. Something that will, you will win and I will win. You couldn't agree on it. So what more can you agree on?
Okay, Mr. Bidemi, let us
Yes,
talk
sir.
about negotiation strategies. You are ex-military person. You know what negotiation is. Negotiation from every level. In fact, you guys you've negotiated with the bad guys
Yes.
before. You know
Yes.
how to handle negotiation. But right now we are talking about economic negotiation. Let me give you an example, Mr. Bidemi. How can a country like Nigeria, let us agree that we are a developing country and we don't include this transfer of technology as part of our deals. How can these Chinese come and build bridges and all for us, and we don't include transfer of technology into it? Transfer of technology means that bring civil engineering students, maybe their final or make it even their final project. Let them join these people on field work. Let them see the new ways of making these roads, building bridges, calculation, being involved. No, it will be all Chinese workers, and the only time they will use our kind of people is at the labor, at the least, working whatever, not at the technical aspect. So now my question is, let's talk about negotiation right now, strategies. What specific behavioral economic principles do you believe can enhance the effectiveness of African diplomats in international negotiations?
Thank you very much. Nigeria as a country, who once our leadership is not getting it right, there is no way we will get it right. Let's start from there. Are you with me,
Hmm.
please?
Yeah, I'm with
Let's
you.
start there. Yeah. Leadership is very, very key. You know, sorry, I'll be able to digress a bit so I can hit the point seriously.
Okay.
You know, her now. Understand? Imagine negotiating, understand, with the bandit, with the Boko Haram, understand, and telling them, why don't you drop your weapon and come join the Nigerian army? Why don't you drop your weapon and come join the Nigerian Air Force and all of that? Now, these people at the long run, understand, is destroying our force. These people at the long run, they are destroying our force, weakening our power, weakening our security strength in Nigeria. Now, let me just make one instance. Last 2 years, inside the same rounds, we call them rounds, so many bullets. He was caught with bullets, he was caught with gun. And in his foolishness, he was still telling, understand, the Nigerian police that he is a soldier serving with the Nigerian Air Force. They needed to put a call to Ibadan, understand, to confirm, okay, is this particular person so, and truly he was. Now, this same person have been leaving the military, understand, basis background to go carry out his kidnapping activities. He has done that over 3 times. Why he is still in the service? Why he is still in the service? Understand? So now, the leadership, understand, in the arms of our military now, understand. When we sit down to talk, these things are not supposed to be so. These things are not supposed to be so. One way or the other, it leads also to corruption. Corruption.
So
Yeah. Now,
you really think the
why?
fault came in from angle from the angle of poor negotiation, or what could have been done better in that aspect that could actually
The,
relate to
there is
helping
always
diplomacy, international negotiation.
now. Let me just make this scenario. There's no how. That's a very poor negotiation. I have been on the battlefield. We've lost many souls who have left their family now being worried. And you'd have been killing, understand, military.
Your network is not smooth. Mr. Bidemi, Mr. Bidemi, Mr. Bidemi. Yeah, Imam, just request to join me again. I will accept. Mr. Bidemi, Mr. Bidemi, can you do one favor? Can you leave this live right now and rejoin? The video is not, the clarity on the video is not working properly from your end. If you can leave and rejoin, it will be better. The network is buffering. Okay, let me move to you. Imam, you can request to join this video. I will accept again. Okay, I will accept. Okay, okay, my brother, we've talked about negotiation strategies. I understand. I think what I want to believe what Mr. Bidem is trying to talk about, giving us example like that, is because that was a poor negotiation. You made, you negotiated not even considering the interest of the fact that you are making, the force porous, bringing someone from the volatile side into your own structure would destabilize it and make it weak. Request wasn't sent. Let me try and add you.
Yes,
I
I,
just
I,
entered you.
I had that experience also. The request wasn't sent to before earlier.
Okay, I just invited you. Okay, right.
Okay, good.
Now let us move forward and let's talk about. He talked about negotiation, and I think what he's trying to compare is that there is you leaders could make bad negotiation, and we can see it in our
Exactly.
economics on the table of economics right now. How could you actually make deals without transfer of technology? It doesn't make sense to me. There should be transfer of technology. All this archaic teaching that we have in the university can be supplemented by practicality. You know what I mean? You can you can actually make students, pupils involved, and that is the best way people could learn. There's a difference between you telling me camera, this is the shutter speed. They've made a lot of cameras these days, bro. That is your shutter speed, blah blah blah. I've been on the camera now with I go they ask me and the person they teach me shutter speed. But where shutter speed day? Because the world is pacing, advancing, and in this capitalist state world, people are trying to improve on product, but the competition is high. So the
Yes.
product something you learned in the class might not be practical, might not be
Mm-hmm.
practicable in the real life, because not that is the fault of the tutor. The world has just paced ahead of what you
Mm-hmm.
what you learned 2 years ago when you were in 200 level. So we need to understand that, and behavioral economics is shaping the world right now. So let's talk about influencing decision makers.
Mm.
And there's no way we are going to link this. We have to link it to foreign policy. I'm more interested in this global perspective because it seems as if we are shooting ourselves in the leg when we
Sorry,
go.
my network was not really good,
Okay.
and Nigerian factor. I'm around for the heat. My phone is saying the temperature was high. I don't know how come. So it just disconnected.
Okay. So we're about to talk about influencing decision makers. So how can behavioral nudges be utilized to influence decision makers in foreign policy, both within African countries and among their international counterparts?
Well,
You know,
thank you very much. Yeah, you see, I always try to give my response with examples so that you can see the practical situation of things. Now, when you talk about getting involved with decision makers, you also have to look at the areas where you have strength on.
Right.
Now, let me talk about DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo. We all know Congo has 70% of the world's
yeah,
cobalt.
yeah,
Cobalt is a mineral that is being used for car batteries, the lithium batteries, the EV electric vehicles, the mobile phone
yeah.
batteries, and everything. So if I have 70% of the world of what the world needs, I have to now be, I have to now look at how I would now regulate the price myself. But do you know that even at that, it is the world, it is the West that dictates the price of cobalt?
Why so? Is it debt?
It is because okay, now you ask me a very good question. Do you know that DRC has never known peace for the past 20 years?
Of course.
Rwanda is there. Uganda is there. Wars everywhere. To a point where just last 2 months, Rwanda has cut diplomatic ties with Belgium
Yes.
because
And
of the issues in DRC. So
yes.
if you want to be heard, if you want to share part in the discussion on the global world, then you have to also look at the areas where you can be able to bring, your own market. For example, now cobalt, I can choose to say today a kilo of cobalt should be sold for $1 million. Let me tell you, there are people that will still buy it because of
Imam,
the need.
Mm-hmm.
Imam, this brings me to the open market policy. I want to chip that in. If I'm coming for you, please.
Oh
Open
no.
market
Go
policy also is, I don't know. Is it that you're a diplomat? I'm sorry to say, is it that I want to be careful with my word. I don't want to believe we are
No,
stupid.
you
What
can
is
you can
going
be naked
on,
with your.
really? No, what is
It
really
is
going
not
on?
bad.
Because now the West are coming with open market policy. We can't even dare negotiate transfer of technology, not even or regulation of our own natural resources. Why? This is just rock. This is science. This is a straightforward thing. It's a 1, 2, 3. It's as easy as that. I put my interest on the table. You put your interest on the table, and let's think about a win-win. Why do we keep losing?
Mm.
The reason why we keep losing is because we are engulfed in crisis everywhere.
Okay, now
Now,
let's talk about that crisis. Is this crisis engineered by our own
yes,
kind, our leaders,
most of the
or
crises
by the
are,
West?
yes,
Is it a
okay.
foreign
Sometimes
intervention?
it's fueled by ourselves, sometimes by the West. Now, I don't want to talk about the West, but let me talk about our own internal crises that are being fueled by ourselves. DRC, Uganda has taken part of the DRC for, they claim to be keeping peace there. Rwanda has taken part, while in recent they are there mining the cobalt, selling it to the market, while the DRC suffers. Now, the only few countries in Africa that is not engulfed in crisis is maybe, let's say, South Africa. Now if I tell you the issue South Africa is facing, you even pity South Africa. South Africa heavily depend on aid, 70%. In the whole of Africa, it is only Rwanda that is gradually leaving the phase of aid and is depending on itself through the internally generated revenues. South Africa is now in a very big trouble. You know that Trump second coming has cut off all aid, everything to South Africa. Do you know why? Do you know why?
Why?
Just because of the white farmers that the presidency of South Africa is collecting their land to build schools, build hospitals, build basic needs for the people. They're not calling it genocide. Now, they're not calling it genocide.
Imam,
Do you know why they're calling it genocide? Because
Imam.
do you know why all this is happening? It's because they have the international media. I remember last year, 2024, before Trump became the president, I was in New York. Still, Ramaphosa, the president of South Africa, went out of the diplomatic channels to communicate with Elon Musk. We all know Elon Musk controls almost half of the world because he has money, he has power, he has everything. So he now went out of the diplomatic channels to meet him, to try and clarify things to him. And the guy became emboldened. You understand? You went out of diplomatic channels to meet somebody to resolve issues. It means he will feel like I'm more important than anybody. That is why you are now coming to meet me without following the diplomatic channel. He became emboldened. When Trump became the president, he now insert words of negativity into Trump's head that they are attacking white farmers because white supremacists, forgetting that the first mistake of South Africa was handing over all land. 90% of the land belongs to the whites.
No,
in 1930.
Imam, seeing all these things playing out in South Africa right now, why don't we take a lesson, a clue from that self-sufficiency is the way ahead? We cannot keep relying. Why can't we take clues from that the same people we are dealing with, our brothers in South Africa, are dealing with them, and this is what has been the retaliation? Why can't we also think outside the box and start building things internally?
The reason why you cannot think is because US aid has already been suspended. Now we now have to deal with HIV/AIDS medicine. We now have to deal with financing malaria. We now have to look for ways to even feed our IDPs. That one alone is big. But believe me, all these things is supposed to be a blessing to Africa, not a curse. If they decided to cut off their aid, we have enough. Nigeria now, if you look at the gold deposit in Niger State, in Zamfara State, in Taraba, in order, it is enough. It's millions of dollars that can be able to sustain the country. Look at now in Nigeria, we have over 90 million hectares of arable land, but we are cultivating less than 5 million. Let us go back to farming. There are many things that we can do.
Okay, you sound more like it's sounding more like the end of your statement should be saying vote for Imam 2027 for presidency. Mr. Ife, I want you to jump on board now. I love the example you gave, and what you gave will lead us to it's typically building trust. And I want us to flog that, because many people think when you come to negotiation, this mentality where it's a narcissist mentality where you think about yourself alone. You don't even think about, what will be beneficial for the other person. If I want to think about Imam now, let's say I want Imam to help me, there should be something beneficial. I would say like Imam should see. He will feel the fact that and imagine a nice person. But you can't just keep going at people with your own requests. They also have interest. They
Yes.
don't see their interest in whatever interest you are pushing, and they are not bad people.
Let me just rephrase. You see, when Trump came for the second time, his stand has always been America first, and that is what he's doing. Now, Trump has realized that fighting countries that are currently under military rule is not good for him. He's not trying to call them back to the drawing board. Do you know that as we speak right now, he's working on reopening his embassies in Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso, and all those places that he has locked up, because he realized that if he continues to distance himself from them, there are, other
They're
allies like
making
Russia will take
alliances with
over.
other posts, and they are
Exactly. They
making,
take away all the uraniums that
you
the
know,
US
you know,
need.
the Trump,
And again,
the
that is also bad for us. Do you know why it's bad for us? Because US aid is not only for giving aid, they also oversee elections in Nigeria, in Africa. So it means Trump is now literally saying, go and do your coup. I will support you. Military take over. I'm going to give you the support you need.
anything,
So it means
anything that happens,
now there will be no
anything that happens
election
in
in
your country, anything that happens in your country, we don't care. You've
we don't
called us the bad guys enough. You will
exactly.
just do business. Let us stay
And
as
again,
businessmen.
let me also remind you that most of the leaders in Africa are always afraid of the US. That is why they are doing some sham elections and make it look like the election is the can you hear me? The election
Yeah,
is actually free fair. While in real sense, the elections are not free fair. But the reason why they will make it look as if it is free and fair is because they are scared of sanctions.
thank you.
Like now, maybe a governor applies for a US visa, they say we will not give you because you have done this. This will not give you because you have done this. Now look at what happened to the chief of defense staff when his Canadian visa was denied.
Yeah.
It could be for many, which I might not want to go deep into it, but it could be
Okay,
for many
okay.
reasons.
Yeah.
Either,
If I take this, take this. I know we are going to enjoy Imam. Imam is like battalion of guests.
I'm even
I
enjoying
mean,
it.
no, I told
I'm
you.
actually
You think I was joking? He was the poster boy for APL, and Imam is no.
we are just saying it the way
he's smart.
it's going on. We are
yeah,
not adding and we are not reducing.
Yes.
That's just the reality.
100%. One thing,
That's just
one thing I'll just from what even Imam had said so far regarding building trust with this international relationship is that most times trust comes over a period of time of dealing with people. Trust don't just start today. If I am dealing with you now, doing a business with you, trying to do this, trying to make sure that I am honoring small agreements. Now, let me just pick from what he has said and then try to pick things together. Most times, for me, to be very, very honest with you, I am not blaming the US aids for cutting them short of what they were doing before. Why? Over time, this aid are supposed to make us self-sufficient, like you have said. I hope you are with me.
Yeah,
These aids that these people are giving to us are supposed to make us self-sufficient. But over time, what we do is we now depend unnecessarily on those things. We feel that, okay, let me give you an example of what has happened so far. Now, in the area of industries, the business chamber of commerce, there is we understand that you mentioned the point from the beginning that the era is moving from an era of just going to school. It is now moving to an era of skills, and which is one of the advocacy I started this year, a 365 days advocacy, which I've been consistently doing since January, which has to do with skills. Now, they brought a program to the Chamber of Commerce, and this chamber is a dual vocational training. And dual vocational training has to do with that the skills that are needed for the industry. So they actually picked two skills, which is, as I'm talking about for Ogun State, they picked about 3 or 4 for the whole of Nigeria, and then vice versa. Now, these skills are supposed to be gotten from people that have these competencies in the business area. For instance, I was picked for the aspect of office administration. After I was picked from the Department of Office Administration, we give this training to people. Now, they invested in us the first batch. After the first batch, they told us that the percentage of their involvement is going to be dropping as time goes on. Now, what are they doing? They believe that after they've come in, they've already built a level of competency with everybody that is involved. Now, afterwards, the second phase, they are not expected to give their 100%. They are expected to give their 50%. Now, who are all these things for? It is for us. But what happens is when we look at some of these NGOs, some of these bodies that say that they are non-profit, they are only in for what they want, not for the mutual benefits. It was over time that I realized that what Germans were doing for those training they were doing was they saw that we had the numbers, we had the youth, we have the age. You would even be surprised that I wanted to say this under the cultural questions you asked me. There was a cultural shock that happened to me with German. I don't know, maybe it happens all over the Europe. When they came to us for a meeting, they asked us that, okay, they want to meet the youth. in the Chamber of Commerce. And I came out and they asked me, how old are you? And I told them my age. And the next thing they told me that in Germany, the youth they recognize is between 18 to 24. That
Wow.
is the definition for them. And now you'll be surprised that now in Nigeria, we try to find things to suit us. You will see people joining, people that are older, telling me that they want to join the Chamber of Commerce, the youth aspect, and I'll tell them, no, don't join the youth, join the body. And then you will see people telling me that people that just joined business today is a youth at heart. They are youth at heart in business, but are they in the new sense? So what I'm trying to say is these things that we are saying from what we say destroys trust. This is what you are supposed to do. Now you collect the fund. Okay, now I was just hearing underground now that Nigeria just got another loan of billions. They didn't even flash us very well. This loan they are asking for, this loan they are receiving, if they are using it to do what they are expected to do, are we still going to be finding ourselves in where we are? And that is why I believe that going forward, for me, I think that youth should be fully involved in even negotiations. Bring people, don't just bring only people that you see that are in the public space. Bring people in the even bring people from the lower part. Okay, the economic issues we are always having, who does it affect the most?
There should be
It is the
adequate
lower level.
representation.
The
There should be
lower
adequate,
level.
yeah, there should be adequate representation. And that is why I said it at the first time, in the first introduction, that street and cathedral will give you a balanced view of. See, I am friends with powerful youth. Imam, we have a billionaire friend from Cameroon. The Mo's just moved to Dubai. The guy is fantastic. He's a billionaire. We just talked about one of our friends right now. He's a billionaire in North, has company everywhere. I have a balanced view of, like, I have friends from the right wing and the left wing. You understand me? I have friends that are also professionals, Nigerian professionals, like you, Mr. Ife. You are not from the left wing, so don't. You are a Nigerian professional who, yes, who has the the capability of moving to the right, just like the Nasir El-Rufai. Nasir El-Rufai wrote his book and tagged it accidental public servants. So these are public workers that could actually move to the right wing. But what my point is this, in in what you just said, is that people don't understand that trust is actually needed for international, these international dealings that we have to. Look at the example you gave about the palm oil. You were able to build trust, and you guys had a very smooth business session with you guys going on. The moment he could trust you that you are different, you are not in, he told you his problem. This is what I've been facing with Nigerians. They have been trying to play us smart, and they want to, they want lesser quality of product to be going out of this, and I don't represent that. And you say, no, you are not in for that. Okay, you want quality, yes, and you guys went on that smooth relationship. Imam will agree with me that there are some people. I think Russians. I heard rumors about Russians and Japanese. That we Nigerians, Nigerians like to agree on something. If you are working with Nigerians, you have to be patient. You might talk with a Nigerian businessman now, and he agrees, "So I will pay you 10 million naira." And on the payment day, the man will tell you, "About 8 million I get." You go like, Baba, me and you talk, me and you talk, and that is our negotiation style. I'm just saying, is that you don't try that with some people. They just see you as an unserious person, more like Russians. What you say, let your yes be yes. Like the Germans, you've agreed on the table. There's nothing cutting cost, cutting size, and resizing. No, so, Imam, I'm going to ask you one question now. From what I just engaging with global powers, everybody is hungry to engage with global powers. Maybe China is the new, and it baffles me, Imam. It baffles me because what people don't see. I want you to make a comment on Trump's tariff as well. Once things are not going well with Trump's tariff, or America is doing this, instead of us to have it as an eye opener to say, look, we are even tired of playing second fiddle to anyone. Let us build ourselves, just like Dubai did, the Gulf did. Let us build ourselves. Let's look into ourselves and let us build this country to be a developed country. You know what our people do? If US is not dealing with us, we go to China. If China is not going to deal with it, we do it. Yeah, those people have money. It's not like these people have permanently reduced themselves to play second fiddle in the game of power. So I want to ask you a question. As African nations engage with global powers like China and US, how can behavioral economics inform their negotiation tactics and strategies in order to move us from this constant developing to a developed nation, bro?
Well, you see, when you eat from all sides of your body, you know, you will not have anywhere to release, the excess. Now, for example, you China. So you first approach the World Bank, you collected loan. You approach the IMF, you collected loan. You approach the United States, you collected loans with several conditions. Now you come down to China, and China is now telling you we are going to give you the loan with no strings attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even understand. So
Yeah.
now, how can you be, the only way you can be useful to is if you have something to. Now, let me tell you something on the side. The West and the global powers, they are now shifting their alliance. The only, if you have nothing to offer me, I have nothing to offer you. Go another way. That's how it goes now. They treat us with contempt. Now, me just telling you that the United States wants to realign and go back to negotiation table with the Sahel alliance, the three countries that just want. It's enough to tell you that they are willing to say, Nigeria, get off our back. We don't need you anymore. Yes, we'll look for you when we need you. So we shouldn't throw each other under the bus. Now, sometimes when I talk about Africa, I feel like shedding tears. Now, just take a look at the example of Ethiopia. I'm very serious. Look at Ethiopia and Eritrea. Sorry, Ethiopia and Egypt. Do you know that since 2011 there has been a conflict over water, over the Nile River?
I think it also extends to Suez Canal.
Because of the great Ethiopia Renaissance Dam.
The Nile River. The Nile River.
Yes. Okay. What happened was Ethiopia started building. There was an agreement in 1929. I'll be giving you figures because I know all these things. So,
of course.
In 1959, there was an agreement between Ethiopia, Sudan, Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania, and Egypt that there will be a free flow of water on the Nile River, both the Blue and then the Nile River. So now, in 2011, when there was a change of power in Ethiopia, they say, no, we are not going to agree with this, so we also need water. But the truth is that Ethiopia needs water. The reason why Ethiopia needs to build a dam is because 70 to 60% of Ethiopians are currently living without electricity in Ethiopia. So this dam, they wanted to build this dam so that they are going to tap during rainy season. I think from June to September, they will now tap the Nile River and fill up their dam. You understand? So that they will now use it to generate electricity while using others for their own essential needs. But let me remind you also that Egypt population, of course, is higher than the population of Ethiopia, and Egypt depends hugely on culture. So if drought in Egypt, it means they are going to suffer from hunger and famine. So if now, for example, Egypt depends 90% from the Nile River. Now, if this dam, if you are now saying, okay, they completed the dam, I think somewhere around 2020. You understand? So they now say, okay, we'll be tapping the water from the Nile River every year. When we tap from this number to this cubic miles, we will not stop until next year. They are trying to test the dam gradually so that they will not just fill up the dam and then it will explode and end up consuming the whole country. So that is also going to be a bigger situation for Egypt, because if they are tapping the water to the dam, it means Egypt will also be having shortage of water. You understand? So if water, it means they are going to suffer because 90% depend on that. So instead of them to now go back to the negotiation table, everybody is playing hard. Sudan is in between because Sudan needs the electricity. If that dam is successful and Sudan, generated, Sudan will benefit. Sudan needs the water and Sudan needs it at the same time. Egypt needs the water solidly because they need it for everything. So Egypt is not threatening military action. Instead of countries like Saudi Arabia, Dubai, United Arab Emirates that have stake in these two countries' economies, they are not saying anything about it. So you see, the West and the developed countries only care about what they want, not about what you want.
That is not entirely bad, even if we play that game. If that's the world power game, why are we not playing it?
Okay, now, believe me, this world power has to come to an end. They're only using it on Africa. They only use it to their advantage. So why do you need to keep playing it? Now you think if lock up and said we are not going to import anything, we are not going to export, you think we cannot survive? If we're talking about before now that oil, now
with the level.
Before now that we have to import crude oil, Dangote has a refinery, and even Dangote now is suffering. He's regretting building that refinery. He's regretting it. Why do you need to sell Dangote? Sir, you are an economist. Why would you are trying to improve local production and you want to sell crude oil to Dangote refinery in dollars? I know that hugely depends on export of crude oil for forex, but there should be some kind of incentives and understanding. Looking at the fact that crude, that like petrol prices are going to drop when Dangote supplies his crude oil to the market in naira. So you see a lot of areas that are not working for us. If see, let me just give you an example. If a marriage between a husband and wife is not working, what next? Divorce.
No, you can go for counseling or therapy.
Okay. What next?
No, you said what next? I'm telling you, there are many next.
we have done all those things. They are not working for us. They are not working for us. Even them now, they are fighting each other. Now look at Trump imposing high tariff on Canada. Cuba.
I was about to ask that. I was about to chip that in. When Canada and US are having economic talks right now. Canada is saying we are not part of US, whatnot, back and forth. Do you really think, make a comment on Trump's tariff? Do you really think what Trump is actually doing? Because there's reaction right now. People are saying people are actually going on the short-term thinking reaction, but the long term is going to benefit America. Make a comment. Do you really think
what Trump is doing is very, very good for America? The reason I'm saying this is because he's trying to help the industries. For example, now America has pharmaceutical companies, many of them, but because of the importation from China, Canada, substandard products, because they are substandard, they're not up to the American standard. But Americans patronize the Chinese pharmaceutical drugs and other things more than the American companies. Do you know why? It's because their price is a little bit lower. So if you want to improve local production, you now have to make it difficult for those bringing it in from outside. So now let me just align this with Tinubu. You are now bringing in crude oil, refined petrol from Malta, while abandoning your own refineries in Nigeria. How does that make any sense?
Believe me, the only way it makes sense. Well, believe me, the only time it made sense to me was when I read an article where someone uncovered, or most of our political leaders having a refinery outside the country, and I was like, okay, maybe, because normally it doesn't subscribe to common sense. It looks as if the whole country is bewitched. I don't understand. We have this natural resource and we cannot process it and manufacture it and sell the finished product to the world. It's
very,
crazy.
very sad. Look at Singapore. Singapore has no single drop of crude oil, but Singapore refines crude oil in millions of barrels. Shell has their own refining company in Singapore. It's a very they don't have a single drop of.
It's a very sad situation. Mr. Ife,
they don't have
we
a
lost
single drop of
for
oil, but they are refining it. So Nigeria, isn't it sad that we cannot be able to maintain or manage one refinery in Nigeria, government-owned refinery? It is corruption. It is corruption.
Yeah. Let me ask Mr. Ife this, then we'll have our last question. Mr. Ife, I want you to answer this, and I'll ask him a question, then we'll have our final question, which is going to be, the same question. Mr. Ife, we have to bring sustainable development goals into this conversation. You will be the perfect person since you are an ex-president of Yali, Ogun State. How can behavioral economics contribute to the achieving of United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, in Africa? And what diplomatic efforts are necessary to support these SDGs and the agenda?
Now, thank you very much for this question. And I'm very happy that we are discussing it, because there's nothing we have to do now that we shouldn't be, that we need to be looking into the aspect of sustainability, because when we talk about sustainability simply has to do with being able to still consistently doing those things you are doing without affecting humans' nature, like affecting the earth, affecting the human personality that we have. And one of the things I have seen is something that I would want to start with growing up. While we were growing up, we were not being fed based on how hungry we were, but how what we are going to eat is going to be sustainable for our body, is going to be nutritious. I don't know, maybe it is particular to me, but I had that going on because I'm not being fed to be filled up. I'm being fed to be able to sustain myself, to be able to say that, yes, I have gotten what I need. Now, when we look at the sustainable goal, one of the most important SDG goals is the SDG 17, which is partnership. Now, we need to now start coming together, just like what you are doing. To be very, very honest with you, when you reached out to me about this particular section, and I was like, okay, I love this. And then after seeing the flyers and what you were trying to do, I saw that, yes, this is even one of the best steps. Bringing somebody like Iman years down, I'm able to interact with him. I'm able to see, oh, this he has some values that he can give to me. He has some things that he can share with me. This builds partnership. Now, let's now move into sustainable goals. One of the things that we should be promoting based on sustainable goal is sustainable consumption pattern. Like when you look at the SDG goals, there are some that focuses on health, there are some that focuses on climate, there are some that focuses on job. They talk about the 3 P's: people, prosperity, and the planet. Yes, that's what sustainable SDGs focus on. So what we need to do based on, we are talking about economics, trade, money, hand in hand. How is whatever I'm going to be doing going to be important to the people? How is it going to affect the planet? That it is going to be in a way that the planet, okay, there was something I was reading recently, and this person was really, really antagonizing. Why do we want to leave Earth? Why do we want to go and develop Mars? Why? The Earth was okay. That is why we are on Earth. Why are we not looking to make sure that the Earth we are living is good? I watched a particular movie. I can't remember the title, and then they started injecting them because there was a continuous acidic rain. They started injecting them, and then people started having something like octopus on their chin. Why are we not focusing on our people? What do the people want? What would they need to take them to the next level? How would we be able to raise people from the lower class? Why do we still have people? Why do we still have nations that even when you look at the income per person is still very low? Why are we not looking to move to the next level of making sure that prosperity is shared among everybody? And that is why, for me, I keep saying this thing is, I still don't understand where people tend to, and that is where corruption starts from, where people tend to amass wealth, and then your neighbor, people living beside you, would be suffering.
Wait, that,
And I would really,
that's the ripple effect of industrial revolution.
and
Industrial revolution gave birth to capitalism. And of course, when machines started replacing humans, the
yes,
previous landowners could afford to be the top beneficiaries of, and some lucky ones also move up the ladder when it comes to discovery and invention. And these people started, because these numbers are not fair. So the numbers started
exactly.
favoring them more than, and so divisions. I think that's where Karl Marx also came in the store and said, oh, this gross inequality, government needs to regulate. And who are those people you think fought heavily against communism and socialism? Who do you think fought against it? They are the new
Hmm.
capitalists, people benefiting from. And capitalists has won. Look, me, I'm a realist. Capitalists has
Hmm.
won on the landslide. Nobody's going to pretend and go back to
Yes,
being,
yes,
that's why
yes, yes.
the only surviving communist nation right now, you will never see them subscribe to democracy,
At
like
all.
China or North Korea. Imam, do you think they can like, ever? They will never. So it's a one battle, a landslide one battle. But at the same time, we need to have a way forward in this, in this system. I'm not saying that you should not, I'm just saying my opinion. But at the same time,
Definitely,
in this complication that is going on, we have seen nations, like Imam said, Singapore. You would also agree with me, Dubai. We have seen nations
hmm.
attending to themselves, look inwardly and say, okay, amidst all these things, we can still rise. And they saw. So these are the things we are talking about. That these people should even have a sense of pride, tied to the land, not selling their own people
Now,
and their
now,
land to their head bidder.
now,
At least have a sense of dignity.
you see, now we're talking about patriotism. That's what you're mentioning now. Patriotism. The reason why Dubai gets to where it is, got to where it is right now, is because of patriotism. Now, look at the example. Nigeria now, why is your president today? He's in France. He's in France. Where is the vice president? He's in Senegal. Where is this? Everybody leaves the country. Even if, like the leader, someone is having a headache, he will rush to United Kingdom, to France for treatment. When Dubai wanted to, when the UAE wanted to become one, it is 7 Emirates that came together to become one. They all abandoned the luxury. They all came together, fought together. They fought because for them to, for 7 Emirates to agree to come together, they have to fight. The fight was very, very strong. But they, they fought, understood their differences, and they understood their strength. You see, one problem of Africa is that we always negotiate from the point of dependency or from the point of weakness instead of strength. I want to negotiate with you, and now I already know everything about you. Like now, me and you, we're seeing each other. I'm just looking at you naked because I know everything. You have collected $5 billion from debt from here. You have collected. So what can you even tell me? Do you have anything to tell me? So they already know that we are weak.
So
we are fully
dependent. Like no. The picture you're painting now is like on that table. There's no regard for our leaders. There's no
regard. Is there any regard for us? Now I could remember well in 2018, 2017. If you see how Africans line up in China collecting loans, it is very embarrassing. It is very embarrassing. During the China Africa Business Summit, I'm telling you, they were queuing up. Is it only about money? It's not about money. Now, I know some of Tinubu's plans are very good for the country. But you cannot tell me that. You're telling me to be patient, to sacrifice when you're buying private jet for yourself. You bought an Airbus A330 for yourself.
Imam, you are shaking table. You are shaking my podcast.
Yes. I'm just giving you this here. If you want Nigerians to sacrifice, lead by example. Lead by example. Forget about the luxury. Do you know that the new jet he bought has over 5 bedrooms and suites, shower and everything inside? And then you're asking Nigerians who cannot afford 1 square meal a day. 1 square meal Nigerians cannot afford. While you're flying.
Let's drag this home. Let's drag this home. And I'm going to ask you,
private jet.
Imam, I'm going to ask you this question. Let's drag this home. Adaptability in policy. Given the rapidly changing global environment, how can behavioral insight help African leaders adapt their foreign policies to better respond to emerging global challenges?
Well, you see, when you're talking about this, I think it is about shifting, what do you call it? Shifting global power dynamics. For example, now, if you try aligning yourself with the US and you realize that it is not going well with you, move to another side. This is one thing I like about Kenya. Kenya right now is shifting their alliances to US, and they have now moved to the Middle East, UAE in precise, because they realized that, number one, they are deeply rooted in relationship. Because if you look at Mombasa, majority of Mombasans, they are Arabs, and Arabs have roots from the that are rooted from the UAE and from Oman. So they're not shifting their alliance to the Gulf Gulf states. That is how it works. Even though Kenya has their own flaws. Look at last year how the media backlash that the Kenyan president sending police officers to Haiti to go and fight in Haiti when you are having crisis in your own home. I don't really understand. Now look at the East Africa Commission, EAC. Look at Kenya and Tanzania, the largest economy in the East Africa. They are fighting each other because of trade. So when you're fighting each other, how can anybody look at you with sense of seriousness? I always say, okay, since you are fighting, I will come in and mediate you, then I will steal your resources. That is what is going to happen. Okay. Like now, Niger is fighting. Okay, fine. Russia will not say, don't worry, I'm going to provide you with. I'll provide you
because I want to maintain this at half 5, honestly. Let me ask a final question. I know there's no way we are going to flog this topic. We can keep flogging it for 3 hours, but we have to leave it for other people to flog. So people don't say, Shey na only us work out. So let us ask, what is the future of African diplomacy? And I want everybody to react to that. Looking ahead, what do you envision as the role of behavioral economics in shaping the future of diplomacy and international relations for Africa? What is the future of African diplomacy as it stands right now? Are we going to continue to be playing second fiddle? Or we have been of hope? Sometimes I'm always proud of Paul Kagame. Sometimes I'm always proud of him.
Kagame is actually one of the best leaders we have in Africa, who always take the bull by the cutting relationship with Belgium is one strong thing that I think no nation in Africa can be able to do. But he did it. And in the whole of Africa, I was telling you earlier, he was the first to start reducing drastically foreign aid. They depend on their internally generated revenue. Now, just imagine Nigeria depends only on FIRS and import of cars through the customs. We made a fortune for ourselves. Let the leaders also stop being extravagant, stop being greedy.
I think that is the beginning. That is where we need to start.
Yes.
I think that is
buying 70 billion naira private jet is not for a country like Nigeria. No African country leader drives such a luxury. The United Kingdom president, prime minister, he drives British Airways.
And shallow-minded people. Shallow-minded people. There is someone. I don't want to mention this person.
Do you know we have over, sir, you are here. We have over 10 militaries in the 10 Air Force presidential jets that take us billions to maintain.
Yeah.
Why do you need that? The president has a private jet. The vice president has one. First lady has one. Chief of staff has one. Chief of army staff has one. Speaker of the House of Reps has one. Senate president has one. Why?
For a nation that is economy is struggling.
It's struggling.
Seriously.
Nigerians
Seriously.
cannot.
Seriously struggling.
It's very difficult to say Nigeria who can like 70% of Nigeria are living below poverty line. What are you telling me? We don't need that luxury for now. We will get it in the future, but not now.
Well, Mr. Bidemi reacts to that. Imam has been flogging this topic a lot. What do you think is the future of African diplomacy?
Actually, sorry, before night is raining seriously in Ibadan, and the network is just going, fluctuating. Imam have said enough. He has said enough. And number one is our leadership and development. But these people have decided to keep us hungry. That once they are very, very hungry, understand, you're able to give them peanuts, then we can keep ruling them. Now, to some extent, understand, these are the topics I drag regularly on Twitter. Understand? Now, I will come forward and say what these people are doing, they are not helping us at all. Understand, the selfish interest of individual politicians are becoming too much rapidly. Look at the issue of Natasha now. Look at it now. Okay, she was having issue at the Senate now. Akpabio needed to call. I'm from that state. Sorry to say, I'm a co-guide.
Oh, really?
Akpabio, yes, I'm a co-guide now. Do you know the funniest thing? Even this lady that is even pushing, understand, for the callback of Natasha happened to be my 4 years junior in university under me. Under me, I'm telling you, charity. Now, Akpabio now needed to call Yaya Bello, somebody that is facing criminal charges, 70 billion, and he left such, and decided to say, okay, Odolo the governor, you have to see how we will call back Natasha. People that are standing up to fight for individual right, to fight for the community, to fight to see how Nigeria will be better. And this can only be better from our grassroots. This can only be better from our community. This can only be better from our local government.
Let me ask you, as a military personnel, you're strong, you're brave. Do you really think we are ready for that revolution per se, intellectual revolution and physical, however revolution? Do you think we are ready?
Seriously, we are not ready.
We are not.
We are not ready because even
Why
in
are
the
we not ready?
military,
You guys have been complaining since, and I can feel it that what are we not posting it everywhere on TikTok, Instagram, protesting? Is that not what we are doing?
this is the agenda. Keep the least man down, understand, and we keep going. Boss, okay, for instance, this is what we are saying. The community that is supposed to stand up, these people are coming to say, okay, take 2,000 naira and keep your mouth shut. And because one person have not eaten from morning till night, how do
To
you
make
stand up to fight?
you so hungry that you'll be shouting a beep at me. You'll be
That is what
shouting.
I'm saying. How are you able to fight? This same
I
thing
want
is
to give
happening in the military. How
you for
much are
you.
they paying the military? How much are they paying the military? Even once the military are ready to just even do murmuring, although in the military murmuring is not even allowed. It's not allowed. You are wrong, it is yes, sir. We are zombies. You are wrong, it is yes, sir. Now I tell my own colleague,
So Fela was
you
right.
come to the community to
I'm
fight.
sorry. So was Fela right about the word zombie?
Yes, now he was right now. Yes,
So how
see,
come?
these people know what they are doing. These people they know what they are
I
doing.
like
Understand? And it's until we are able to let this hunger beat us, understand, beat us down, and still take our right and say this is what we want. Secondly, religion and tribalism. Religion and tribalism is what these people are using to put us on the floor.
and that's
Religion,
that narrative is why
yes.
I appreciate every single person that have been on Street and Cathedral. Imam, God bless you. God Almighty bless you. Amina, Kaltuni, all my Igbo friends, God bless. Because it is now evidence. It's evidence before your eyes now. All this overgeneralization. Northerners are this, northern. Imam is my friend. Amina has been here. Kaltuni has been here. Abdul Jafar has been here. These guys they are my friends. So there's no way you want to talk about. I will be an hypocrite. There's no way you want to talk about the northerner before me, and I will not tell you. No, I beg, I beg, I beg, I beg, I beg.
Of
I'm
course,
educated
of
enough. I'm
course.
experienced enough to know who is good and who is bad. Not you to be telling me that an entire set of people are evil. Please don't try it. And that is why I'm bringing this to the younger generation that are following me. See,
We are
don't mind the
see,
joining.
we are the one, we are the one, we
Once
are the
this
one
video
that
is
are carrying
posted,
religion on our
yeah,
head. These
once my
politicians,
video,
they don't fight too.
They
The
don't fight.
Christian and the Muslim politicians, they are best of friends. They
of course,
are seriously best of
and
friends.
we need to start. We need to. That's why this is the call of God. That's why we also
Exactly.
need to stop fighting amidst ourselves. Look,
Exactly.
I
I tell
can't go to North and
these
be
people,
stranded.
once they have one or two clash, understand, the next hour they are sitting together.
Bro, in El Rufai's book, Accidental Public Servants, he wrote it.
I have it.
Oba,
I have the book.
Obasanjo made El Rufai. In fact, the situation that surrounded El Rufai's approach, what made me laugh in that book, he said Obasanjo called him. At the moment, even Obasanjo was fighting him. That is to show you a leadership. He said Obasanjo told him to his face, like, look, you are very stubborn. I don't like you, but I know you are the only one that can do this job. Look at that statement from Obasanjo. He said, I don't like you because you are stubborn, but I know you are the only one that can get this job done. El Rufai is a northerner, Obasanjo is from my state. All this narrative, if it is happening, we should stop it.
Tribalism,
We should, we,
tribalism,
we should stop it from this
religious
business.
activity.
Bro, I can't go to the north and be
All
stranded.
of those things are
I'm telling
destroying
you,
us by the day.
I can't
They
go
are
to the north and
killing
be
us.
stranded. Before I call Amina, Kaltuni, Iman, blah, blah. I have friends there. You can't tell me that we met in Egypt. We were even cool. We were Nigerians abroad. Nobody was introducing themselves that I'm Nigerian Southwest.
I
And
remember the
nobody was doing that.
most of
Nobody.
my parents. I lost the book on a long haul flight. Your book,
Oh,
The Gods of My Parents. I lost the
oh,
book. I wanted to ask you. I was reading and then I, jet lag. I slept off, so I I misplaced the book in the aircraft. I didn't get it again.
okay. I'll see to that when you come to UK.
No
I'll
problem.
see to that. Ipe, final question for you, and let's call it a quit. What is the future of African diplomacy from your own point of view?
Yes, when we talk about African diplomacy, based on what we've been talking about, I think what we need to first talk about is understanding human behaviors. And I will tell you that I really love the perspective that I've been sharing. I would like to say that one of the beginnings, I have not done research based on this, but I would really be doing this afterwards. Now, when we talk about understanding human behavior, I was opportune to move to a particular environment. And then I understand that to be able to talk about a locality, you must first of all start from what is being called a community development association level. Now, each of these community development association level has various people living in a particular community. This community makes up what we now call, it is like the lowest division when we talk about nation building, is the lowest aspect of it, because when we look at what is called social study starts with what we call a family as the smallest unit in a community building. And the same way we talk about the community community development association level. So what I would have talked about is we going to our grassroots, looking at each of these communities and looking at what they really need. Now, thank God for this advert of things. Some of us are still trying to look maybe to jump on it or not to jump on it, and which is when we talk about this AI of a thing. We need to start looking at datas. Datas, not the ones that are not generated properly, because to be very honest with you, when we talk about data generation in Nigeria, I'm always very, very scared, because sometimes you need to do your due diligence to look at properly that is this data I'm getting, is it original? Because you'll be quoting one data now, and then the international bodies will be quoting another data. And then you will find yourself in that crossroad. So what I think we should start doing now is looking at how human behavior, what we all need is food. You know, when we look at this Maslow law of hierarchy of needs, we are going to see that the basic things we need is food, security. And that is where it brings me to come about it that we have ECOWAS, we have African Union. What are these people doing together to form an alliance together? You understand? And when you look at all these things, they say they are doing one thing and they are doing another.
But wait. According to what Imam has said, are these ECOWAS and alliances, are they not toothless dogs that have nothing to, because everybody is in debt in Africa, on this nation. So you guys are forming
Exactly.
alliances of debtors.
They've even made it political. Even now, it is now something, it is not more of something that we want to, the common masses want to benefit from. It is even more of political. Because
Well,
each time I hear about
well,
ECOWAS,
well,
it's always
well.
Nigeria.
I think the last election in the African Union Commission has sent a strong signal.
Good.
You see, before that election, I was completely thinking that Raila Odinga from Kenya will win that election. But when the election date, another person won that election because of his intellectual prowess. They all rooted for him. The first round of election, the election it comes in different phases. First, second, fourth. So the first stage, of course, this one Odinga won, but then the margin was that much, so they have to go for the second. They keep screening out some of the contestants. But believe me, the last one, his presentation made everyone there voted for him. I think our leaders understanding that it's not all about name or who is supporting you. Because before the election, I completely thought Odinga would win the election. And the reason why people were for Odinga is so that Kenya conflict will come to an end. At least let them keep him busy somewhere. But he lost the election. So I think with the election of this man into the African Commission, at least we have started from somewhere. And that
Thank you very much.
the regional bloc is always there for us to get to promised land.
Yeah, thank you very much. Everything that has a beginning must have an end, but we just hope that we would all see the end of the problems in Africa, most especially these inhibiting problems that we feel that are not positioning us in the world power game. We actually want to see Nigeria thrive, West Africa thrive, Africa thrive as a whole. And we also, we pray and we long after it that we be part of the major key player. Major key player also starts from like this. Imam has been representing well. This also is the least I can do to contribute as a major player in trying to also send. And thank you also, Mr. Ife, for what you've been doing, representing well. Thank you, Mr. Bidemi, for your sacrifices. For your journey is so inspiring. You moved from one of the most difficult angle. You made us realize that you can still make lemon out of lemonade. And thank you for being consistent and fair. I want to appreciate all of you because I do not have my hands wrapped around anybody and say, "Oh, I've got Imam in my corner because he's my boy." I might be Imam's boy in the real sense, but it's just based on mutual respect, which I also respect everybody, and I appreciate you for the honor. I appreciate you for the respect. I can only pray that God Almighty will respect you, and yeah, we'll keep flogging this forward, pushing the positive narrative forward. Once these videos drops, this is what happens. More it will drop on YouTube on all platforms, Spotify, um, Apple Podcasts, Prime Music. I'll share you all the links. Sometimes this kind of life, you should know, people will rather want to come where there is, open your whatever, or where there is giveaway, or where there is shaking bomb bomb, intellectual fellowship. But once it drops, the viewership is always enormous. I don't know why. I don't know why some people don't want me to see that they're joining, but these are real people. This is a real account, so it's different. I don't know how some people is normal, but I want to thank you for being part of my story. I appreciate you. May God bless you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of today's topic session. Just add behavioral economics and transforming Africa. Next week, we are going to be joined by two interesting guests, and I hope you stay tuned. But for now, I'll say bye till we meet next week by God's grace.
Thank
Bye bye, guys.
you.